on the Spielman and Hooley We Tackle Life podcast.
Big announcement today.
We'll do that in about 10 minutes. A little career news, which I'm very excited about.
And I'm going to have some career advice for you.
Okay.
Then I'm going to put it on the record.
Great. I'll always take that.
Well, you don't always utilize my advice, but you do take
Lately,
it.
I've done a better job, I think. That's true. We'll find out. Now's the time to find out. Have you been listening, and do you have any input? Have I been following your career advice?
First of all, let's talk about me.
Let's talk about you.
Okay,
you are like angelic today. You're, other than your coat, you're all in white. You have white shirt, white pants, looks like brand new white shoes.
Certainly new Hokas because of, when you reach a certain mile point as far as putting miles on, everything hurts. And I'm at, by the way, you want an update?
Yeah, I do. Your miles, your 6,000 mile challenge for the year, you're bearing down on the finish line, or have you now, since I last saw you a week ago today, I last saw you, have you passed the 6,000 mile
I'm
mark?
at 5,735 miles, so I'm closing in on it.
Well, knowing you like I do, I know that once you hit 6,000 miles, you'll just not exercise again, eat nothing but Cheetos, let yourself go. That's exactly what you're doing, right? Well, I guess maybe not.
First of all, congratulations. Yes, I have been listening, and I've come to the conclusion that I'm a kingmaker. I'll never be the king. I'll never be the star of the show, but apparently I lift everybody up.
Well,
I, of course, am the main reason.
All you do is give.
I'm, of course, the main reason why Sean McDonough, not anything to do with his talent, got Monday Night Football.
It's 100% you.
You, of course, have your own show now, and outside of sports, which was the most exciting thing for me, for you, was to challenge yourself spiritually, intellectually, outside of the realm of sports. I mean, your area of expertise is sports, but to push yourself. And you're now the drive time guy, 5 to 7 on 98.9 The Answer. And I listened the first few days, and I'm very proud of you. I think that
thanks.
Your demeanor, your tone, everything is what people need to have a conversation. Now we need to get people that actually disagree.
We
with
do.
you
We need Democrats
to have a civil conversation about
liberals,
disagreements.
They all partake via Twitter, which is fine. I can.
I mean, I didn't listen.
Well, we were trying to get the station wants to establish a Twitter for the show, but people can always get me at my Twitter.
Right.
So I'm willing to try to build a Twitter. It's my opinion, and we're not at odds on this. I just think, like apps on your phone, I don't think very many people are adding more apps once you set your phone up for how you want it. I don't think you add another app. So I don't think very many people are adding people to follow on Twitter. Twitter's been around long enough that you follow who you follow. You might add one here and there. But if you already follow me, you're probably not going to add a new Twitter for my show.
Right.
So I tend to think that the best way I can reach people who disagree is, because they're not shy about letting me know they disagree on Twitter, is to continue to post on Twitter show topics and things I'm talking about. So I can incorporate it that way. And we're also getting an email set up. I don't want to give my personal email out. So
I'll probably not do that.
Yeah, we'll get that done, because I'd just be flooded, I think, with stuff, and that's okay. I mean, I do want to interact. So, it's I can tell you it's been weird. Like after the first day, it was weird, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And I came home and I thought, and I finally realized why it's weird. It's weird because finally I can say all the things I've wanted to say about topics I've wanted to address and never could, because it wasn't the forum, wasn't the format.
We weren't getting paid to do that.
No, we weren't. We were doing what we were paid to do, sports. But my opinions are the type of opinion on social issues that even had we lapsed into them in sports radio, the management would have come running down the hall like, whoa, get back on topic. Not because we didn't have supportive management, just because
it's not what we were there for.
And so it's a little weird to be able to talk politics and social issues and cultural issues and stuff like that. And it's just going to take me a while, because I mean, I've had the governor on that for 15 years in broadcasting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you're off to a good start. I hope
Thanks.
they have liked the start and finished the week strong. And it's a perfect time. I mean, we have a very important election coming up, and we all want to encourage everybody to educate yourselves and vote.
Yes. Make sure you do both, not just one.
Well-
Don't just vote. Educate yourself.
Yeah.
Know what you're voting for
right.
all the way through, all the way down the line.
Yeah. And now that it's your job, I've kind of taken a little bit of a respite. Is that the correct
That
word?
is
I
the
want to use?
correct
A
word. Very
respite
good.
from watching political news and
Mhm.
stuff. I educate myself. I know the issues, and I'm just not interested in the vice presidential debate taking hold tonight with Kamala Harris, senator from California, and Vice President Mike Pence. Just I know the issues and I know how I'm going to vote, so I'm not going to give that my time. I'm already locked in, so that
You're going to be watching your Yankees.
And
That's what you're going to be doing. Baseball,
no,
all round the clock baseball.
Dude,
That's what
I
you're
am
gonna be
so
watching.
into these shows about the Vikings and Knights, not Minnesota
Not
Vikings.
Minnesota Vikings, like Thor and guys like that.
These shows on Netflix called The Last Kingdom, which is just amazing to me.
Okay.
And Nightfall is another one that I believe that was on network TV, but it's on Netflix now. That I'm watching in the history of the stuff and Crusades and Battle for the Holy Grail and all that kind of stuff is of interest to me. And
So this is like Braveheart on the water.
Yeah,
because I know you're a big Braveheart guy.
I am a big Braveheart guy, and just how ruthless some of those folks were back then on both sides.
Barbaric.
Yeah, on both sides.
Yes.
So anyway, good news, and moving on. I just think I'm excited for you, and I wish you the best of luck. I'll of course grace your presence with a guest appearance.
Awesome. That'd be great. I haven't asked
for a minimal fee. $2,000.
Same you're paid here. Trying to recoup those garage door losses, aren't you?
Yes. By the way, that will be on the invoice when I come on your show.
Yes. I think we're finally getting access to our garage on Friday.
Oh, congratulations.
Yes. If you don't recall, Mr. Spielman had a new car faux pas.
I did.
Thought you had the brake on and didn't. And
ran into your garage.
Little bump into the garage
and
door.
You wanted a new garage door.
I wanted a new garage door.
Now, we desperately need at the Hooley Manor is a new front door because I can't take it anymore. I can't.
You're going to have to take that up with the distaff portion of the household, as my daughters think that colored front door is happy.
It's not. It's
and
depressing. It's opposite of happy.
I mean, it's just like You look at the house. We painted the house a year ago. Consensus of everyone is the painting of the house was an improvement.
Okay.
A lighter tone and similarities all the way across. We had brick and siding. Now we have all one color.
Yeah, it looks good.
And then we got down to the front door, and the girls are like, "Dad, can we paint the front door?" Well, I painted the whole house, so I'm like sick of painting. I said, "Sure, you can paint the front door," thinking they paint it the same color as the trim, which any right-thinking American would do. And they
maybe they need to listen to the Bruce Hooley show.
They decided they'd go for something bright and cheery, and to me, it's
not that color.
Stomach pain inducing.
It's hospital green.
It is, and I have an authority on my side. Grandma is on my side.
Okay.
Grandma visiting. I said, "Okay, Mom, what do you think of the front door?" Well, you know how grandmas are. They don't ever say wow, that's hideous. That would never be a grandma. That's a grandpa thing, not this particular grandpa. That would be, if my dad were still living, that would be his take. But grandma's like, well, which means I don't care for that much.
Yeah, it's awful.
My neighbor had the classic reaction to the front door.
What's that?
He said, I said, "What do you think of the front door?" And he said, "Well, if you like it, it's fine."
Yeah.
In other words, I hate it. And I was like, I don't like it.
Here to all the Hooley girls, it's awful.
Yeah.
It's horrible. It depresses me when I walk through it. I don't want to get near it. It makes me feel like I'm walking into a hospital.
You want to get the bleach out and scrub the mold off.
Now, I have to tell them this fair warning. You know what I did to your garage door? It is nothing compared to what I'm going to do to that front door.
Absolutely true. It's not, and we've already shown your propensity for attacking doors.
And speaking of knocking down doors,
nice
Cleveland Browns are knocking down doors.
I love that transition.
Thank
wow,
you.
listen to you, radio man.
Well, I'm no Bruce Hooley, but
Browns
I'm not a two-time state champion, or I'm not my own host of a radio show. But hey,
it's true. It's not. You're just a 4-time Pro Bowler, college football Hall of Famer, and Fox analyst. You know.
And
you achieved what you can achieve. What can I say?
And
a Pro Football Hall of Fame nominee. I keep forgetting that. I'm gonna have to write that on the wall. And
that's what I did when we did the Browns. Speaking of the Browns, Washington football team game.
Yeah,
I had Washington pasted all over the monitors.
Nice.
And press box. So,
nice. So Kevin doesn't forget. By the way, how do you like working with Kevin?
It's great.
New crew.
It's great.
Kevin Moore Oakman.
In all seriousness, one of the things that I really pride myself the job, and they care deeply about it. So when I see somebody care deeply about something, then the last thing I want to do is be the person who will let them down.
Right.
And I say this to them every week. You need to tell me what you need from me to do your job better, because I promise you, I will tell you what I need from you to do my job better, and we'll talk about it. And I think I'm one of the only analysts. Maybe there's a few more. I get to the game around 8:55 for 1:00 kick.
Wow. 4 hours ahead. You're on the Hooley plan. That was always my game plan of attack.
And but there's a reason. The reason is I like being there, of course, and I did that as a player, but I meet with the camera guys and how important they are to a game. And I tell them basic outline of the game, what I'm looking for, matchups that I might like. So they're prepared. So when I say something, they're sitting there with their highlighters taking notes, which I think is great. But the reason why I do that is, look, I'm counting on you to do my job. If you look bad, I look really bad.
Yeah.
If you look good, I look really good. It's very similar to playing linebacker, right? It's like defensive lineman. If they play good, I play great. If they play bad, I play real bad. So, but it's the crew is great, and it's everybody's got to pick it up a little extra because we're not traveling nearly as many people, and there are inconveniences. And the one thing we talk about, and we've talked about this since March when the COVID thing hit, is what's our response going to be? You either embrace the inconveniences or you don't. And so our crew has done a great job of embracing the inconveniences.
As long as I've known you, and you're very you have a lot of candor with me. Certainly you confide in me on some things off air that you don't share on air. On or off air, I don't really recall you ever complaining about anyone you've worked with. And you've worked with a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, you've worked with different play-by-play people, and really it's not just that you don't complain. You've enjoyed it. You've conveyed that it's been enjoyable to work with everybody you've worked with. You are a chameleon. You can work with anybody.
I try to. I'll say this. I won't say what network or what year, but I had one problem with one producer over the years. And the only problem is that, we would never have a conversation, and it went like, hey, I'm not producing the show. I'm the analyst. So do me a favor. Stop being the analyst and start producing. And because he was trying to do both, and he was arguing with me.
Took umbrage?
Yes, he was arguing with Umbrage would be a word that would be used in the Last Kingdom or Nightfall.
By the way, Rick says Last Kingdom is awesome. I believe there hasn't been a new season for quite a while.
Yeah, I'm just like discovering this whole Netflix thing. Apparently, it's all the rage.
Apparently, it's going to catch on Netflix. I think it might last for another year or two.
So,
although they're doing all they can with cuties to take themselves down. They got indicted in Texas yesterday for that.
I don't pay attention to that.
You
know what? To me, I believe we talk about freedoms all the time. Netflix has the freedom to put what they want out there. I have the freedom to choose what I want to watch and what I don't want to watch. If I want to protest Netflix, I will. But there's shows that World War II in color is fabulous that educate myself. Netflix puts that on there. My wife is a big fan of Blacklist with James Spader. I don't know if you've seen that or heard about that.
I have.
So anyway, back to the Browns.
They have been kicking down the door on opposing defenses at least the last 3 weeks. They've scored over 30 each week, but they will have their hands full, it appears, or at least a bigger challenge. I don't know if their hands will be full, with the Indianapolis Colts, who are also 3-1. And the Colts defense is number 1 in the NFL, giving up only 14 points a game. But their last 3 games have been against Chicago, the Jets, and yes, the Minnesota Vikings.
First of all, the Browns. And I just watched the Colts yesterday, by the way.
Okay, great.
Did a little film breakdown for you.
Is that because you have the Cardinals and the Jets, and they played the Colts?
Yeah, the Jets played the Colts 2 weeks ago. Okay. So here's what I know about the Browns. This is how you know they're a good team. When you have one of the top 5 running backs, and I think we're in agreement, most people that are intellectually honest with themselves will look at Nick Chubb as a top 5 running back in the league. I think you agree with me. I agree. He goes down. Dearness Jackson comes in.
Johnson, I think.
Dearness Johnson, 30, I believe his number is, comes in.
Never heard of him before.
And has 18 carries for over 100 yards.
95. He had 95. Okay. They didn't have a 100-yard back, which was odd when they rushed for 307.
Okay. Yeah, that's the point. I guess my point was I figured he had 100 yards, but I just was watching the highlights. I didn't watch the game. But when you can have that type of production from a running back, that tells me one thing, and this was validated to me through the game that I did and validated to me after watching the highlights in the win against the Cowboys when you can run for 307 yards. That where are they the strongest? And they're strongest on the offensive line. Their 2 guards are as good as combo as there is in the league as far as guards.
Batonio and Teller?
Yes, as far as setting the tone. Treader or Trot, is it JC?
Treader. JC Treader.
JC Treader is a really good player. The young rookie, Wills.
Jedrick Wills.
Jedrick Wills is solid. Who's the other?
Conklin.
And Conklin, who was hurt the week before I got there, but played in the game I did, is really solid. Okay. And the fun thing is, and what I like, and I look at coaches and I look at players embracing this, was that they are embracing what Kevin Stefanski is selling. Okay. And that's we're running the ball, we're being physical, and we'll hit them with play action. And when you have Beckham Jr. and Jarvis Landry and any other guy on their team that are embracing the concept because they're 3-1, that's a good thing. Now, the test is going to come, and we know how the NFL works, Bruce, because it's a different game every week.
Yep.
And never a movie's title has been more true than the title of any given Sunday, because it's so true. It's crazy how the NFL can be. And I just think that this team with Baker Mayfield, and I've been a fan of Baker Mayfield from day one. And I think that he's really focused. I think he's staying out of the news. He's not punching down. And he's making good decisions. And what I like about him, what he's doing this year more than any other year, is he's not trying to run around and make the awesome Sports Center highlight play. He's making good decisions. He's delivering the ball. And they are such a strong physical football team that imposes their will on you right now. And that's the 4 grade. So we're at the quarter point of the season, and that's the quarter grade for the offense. I think the defense is susceptible. I really do. There's some issues on the defense. They have some good players on the defensive side of the ball They need Denzel Ward healthy. He has to stay on the field.
Yeah, big interception Sunday to clinch it.
But he's in and out,
He's
right?
in and out.
And
what was my concern with him when they drafted
injuries?
him?
You're right. You're right on it, man. But he's such a good player and such a valuable commodity. And we know, you look around the league, right? How corners are a rare commodity to find in this business, especially good ones like him. So, are you excited? That's my biggest question, because I was driving over here this morning, and there's many times where you have denounced your loyalty. See, I'm all into this king.
Yes.
King. You've denounced your loyalty publicly to the Cleveland Browns. You took your oath away. Are you ready to re-oath the Cleveland Browns?
No. Because here's what happened Sunday. I shared this Monday. I watched them. They got ahead 38-14, and the Bengals were on another network. And so I thought, well, now it's give me a chance to watch the Bengals because this game's salted away. Watch the Bengals for like a quarter and a half, flip back to the Browns, and they're up 3 with the ball with 33 something to go. And I'm like, wait a minute. I assumed that was over with, but it's not over with. It's still in there.
But can I say that they're not the only team that does that? I mean, you look around the league, we see that every single week. My Lions, 14-0.
How many times have they blown a 10+ point lead?
6 games,
6 in a row.
6. No,
the last 6 times.
Yeah, last 6 times they've been up by 10 in a football game. They've lost the game.
Ugh.
That's incredible.
Can't do that.
Okay, so
Captain
so you
Obvious.
could be the one thing we want to do.
That's
look,
great
man, I can
analysis
see.
on my part. Can't do that.
I can see why you're. Okay.
Good thing I'm out of sports, bringing those kinds of takes.
But we see that that's the beauty. That's why I love the NFL, right? And for the game that I did, the Arizona Cardinals, who started out, oh my gosh, the NFC West is, because of the Cardinals, is a top division in NFL football.
Sure.
Starting out 2-0, beat the 49ers in Santa Clara, and now they look like they can't get out of their own way.
I know.
And they go and play Carolina under Matt Rule, Teddy Bridgewater, who has this incredible run. I don't know if you saw the highlight of Teddy Bridgewater.
I thought his knee was shredded.
It's just unbelievable. But then, I did an interview with New York Times yesterday, and they asked me about offensive scoring in the league. And I have theories, okay? First of all, tackling's atrocious because lack of OTAs, lack of training camp, lack of preseason. There's been less focus on fundamentals and more focus on schemes. And I get it, right? I really do. I get it. So that's one thing. Goal line pass coverage, Bruce. If you watch short, inside the 10-yard line pass coverage, and that's where all those rub routes are really effective. People that don't know what rub routes are, think of like pick and rolls in basketball if you're a basketball fan. But the offensives have become so good, they've learned the rule. Before, they would just run into a guy. And now what they're doing is right before they make contact with a guy, they're turning and sitting down, throwing their hands up at the quarterback like they're a potential receiver, not creating contact, but still getting the desired effect of a defender having to go change his route over the top. And I see it twice a week, for 4 weeks in a row, where there's blown coverages in the goal line. That's why scoring is way up. The officials have swallowed the flags on holding penalties. 50% of holding penalties are down from being called at this point in time last year. All right, because I do think the league wanted to get started and give the offensive advantage to have these type of games, right? Because they're interesting. And who gets to shine in these games? What does the league want to happen? Who are they trying to sell? Rightfully so.
Quarterbacks.
You're exactly right. The quarterbacks. So they wanted to give the quarterbacks, I think, the best chance to succeed. Do you agree or disagree?
I totally agree. You see the promos on Fox on CBS, it's a picture of the quarterback. It's Drew Brees against Tom Brady. It's Aaron Rodgers against Jimmy G. That's exactly what they do.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I think it's fine. The other thing I talked about yesterday in this New York Times article, what I've noticed, and it's really hard. It's so much easier said than done. Okay. The teams that bring their own energy, that aren't relying on outside sources to create energy, are the teams that win. The teams that are having fun playing, the guys that are celebrating and thinking to themselves, we're so freaking lucky to be able to play football when 2 months ago we had no idea if we were going to be able to play. So while we're playing and while this is going on, let's just have fun playing. And they're playing for each other. So everybody wants to know what's the chemistry. The chemistry to identify is easy. You know that you have a team when you see your guys playing for each other and not themselves. To implement that chemistry, to actually get it to happen, that is the challenge of every head coach in the National Football League.
Well, and it'll be the challenge for Kevin Stefanski if things don't go the way they went on Sunday in Dallas, where Odell Beckham, who commands a large amount of attention, had 3 touchdowns, so he's going to be happy. Jarvis Landry had, I think, 4 receptions on third down. That's what he's paid to do, converted 4 third downs, so he's happy. He threw a touchdown pass to Odell Beckham.
I saw that play, actually. They ran that, which I would never divulge, of course, until they do it in a game.
Right.
But I knew that was coming because before their game, I even forget who. Against Washington, they had that play in their practice plan on Friday morning, and I watched them run that play. So I knew that was coming. And Jarvis, left-hander, can toss the ball. And the thing about Odell Beckham, love him, hate him, doesn't matter. Guy's a player, and you get it in an area, his catch radius is off the charts.
Yeah.
So I see where Madeline's not a big fan of the NFL.
Madeline's not a big fan of the NFL. She tweets in, or not tweets in, she Facebooks in. She can't stand the NFL anymore. Stopped watching a few years ago.
Right.
Says she's not a fan of any pro teams. Madeline, you can tell us why that is.
Yeah,
my guess is that has something to do with, the social justice movement or something. That's probably my guess. Maybe she's just a big college football fan.
Here's my thing about that too, and we just don't like. We really haven't covered it in our games. I know that you've watched some of ours. In any NFL game, do you see teams even covering it that much?
Not after week 1. I was surprised they covered as much as they did in week 1.
Yeah.
So, here's the thing. You don't cover it, but it's in the commercials in between, which you're busy talking to your crew about what you're going to do coming out and all that. So you don't see it. So we get the kind of Big Brother lectures about all that kind of stuff.
Do we get this together alone or all those
all
still?
Together, we're all in this together.
Alone?
Yeah, we get all kinds of stuff.
Are we still doing
the
that?
COVID pep talk. We get the justice pep talk. We get lots of pep talks, which I think everybody's sick of. Like, could we just go back to sports? NBA ratings are tanking. Lowest finals ever. We don't have game 4 yet.
I'm not making excuses, but
I just think people want to have a game. They want to have that is permeating every part of our culture and conversation and all about the election and everything. And it's just like your word earlier in the podcast, respite. People would like to have a place to go, a safe space to go where we don't have to hear rancorous stuff,
right?
Or that we're doing a crappy job of loving each other. That's what people would like. A little bit of our lives that we could get a departure from that is my opinion of what people would like to have.
Yeah, and I think, if you watch the NFL, maybe it's just me, but it's entertaining. If you love football,
the scorings,
it's entertaining, and the players are so good.
They are good.
It's just some of the catches that I see week in and week out, and my respect for quarterbacks and how difficult that position is to play, and how quickly and how good they really are. It's fun for me. I mean, I love going to a game every single week. I recognize whatever social justice programs or things they want to bring to the forefront. Yes, I recognize. I think about it, but once the game is going on, I don't. It's the football. It's the player. It's the football player.
Well, that's your means of making a living, so you're locked in on that.
But I make a choice to get locked in on that. Like, I don't make a choice to get diverted thinking about something else when I just choose to focus on the football. And it's fun for me to watch. I mean, you hear the excitement in my voice. I know when I'm excited about something, right?
By the way, give me your view of NFL hot coaching commodity Matt Rule. You got exposure to Matt Rule this week in the Panthers. How'd they win the game without Christian McCaffrey? And is Curtis Samuel still there? Is he making an impact?
Yeah, Curtis is still there. He's like the third wide receiver. Okay. He's kind of do everything guy. He'll play a little bit of running back. They'll get the ball to him on reverses. He's a slot guy that's hard to cover. Very valuable player for the Panthers. So it comes down to everything else. And this is back to a trend in the NFL that teams that are running the ball are teams that are winning. The Cardinals were able to cut it to 28-14 and had some momentum. And in the league, you see it happening when a team gets momentum, they get a stop, they move the ball again. Cardinals can put points up in a hurry. They go that up-tempo offense. Carolina, I think, then went on a 15-play drive, and it was over. They took the heart and soul from the Cardinals, just beat them up. And their offensive line dominated the defensive front of the Cardinals. And Mike Davis, I don't know if you remember Mike Davis, really kind of a cool story out of South Carolina. Christian McCaffrey's backup just ran like it was the last time he'd ever run a ball every time he ran the ball. And so, and Bridgewater played well. Bridgewater played well.
Yeah, I didn't have any faith in him when they signed him. I was not a Cam Newton guy. I am not a Cam Newton guy, but I thought, that's a dicey chance you're taking, putting it on Teddy's back.
You want to know the coaching commodity of Matt Rule? I'll tell you what his philosophy is when he took over at Temple and when he took over at Baylor. And I actually had this conversation with him. Really nice guy. Had a conversation with him. He actually brought this up. He said, you actually had an impact on me in coaching. I said, really? He said, do you remember when you did the Houston Temple game? It was for the American Championship. And I was coach at Temple. I said, yeah, you, for whatever reason, you were roaming the parking lot after the game and you wandered by the TV trucks. And I said, yeah, I remember we came up, we were talking. He said, you know what we talked about? I said, what? He said, well, you said to me, you guys really did a good job of changing up your protections the second half. They lost the game. Houston won the game. Greg Ward was the quarterback, receiver for the Eagles now. And he said, yeah, before the game, our coaches came to me and said, Houston does all these exotic blitzes. We need to do something totally different in our protection. They gave up like 6 sacks in the first half. He said, never again. In other words, what I learned from that conversation that we had is always do what we do and adjust and make the adjustments under what we do. Never change anything up or go against everything you believe in. So his coaching philosophy is this. First of all, is you get your people, the right people. Now, the right people, your right people might not be my right people, but you get the right people for you, right? What you want. You want to create an environment, and of his environment is just being tough and hard work. There's nothing new or anything like that, nothing earth-shattering, but everybody wants that. But again, saying it and implementing it are two different things. He's been able to do that in Carolina. What I talked about earlier is, and he's got it going on now, is the getting everybody to play for each other. And he said that was the most difficult part of doing this job because of COVID, lack of OTAs, everything was virtual. Nobody had a personal relationship outside of football with anybody because they have like 25 new guys on that team, right? And so they got to know each other. Then the last part, point number four, is he says the last thing that I worry about when I'm taking over a program or doing something is getting the football right. And once the football gets right, those other 3 things are your foundation, then the football takes off.
Well, they have their foundation right at auiinfo.com. They are the health insurance brokerage that is our sponsor here on the podcast, and this is the time of year where you have to get your health insurance right. It's open enrollment time for individuals, for businesses. AUI can update you on all the latest with doctors, hospitals, networks, copays, all the different things. It's only get a one-time chance to change your health insurance a year. This is that time. So let Chrissy, Steve, Julie, all the fine folks at AUI give you the details, the inside dope. You don't pay for their service. They're compensated by the health insurance companies that they put you with, and they are fantastic at what they do, and we appreciate those of you who have contacted AUI. It's always great to hear that you're delivering for a great company and great people, and they are both. Trust me on that one. Health insurance is important, and you want the right coverage, but you don't want to be paying for benefits you don't need. You don't want to not have benefits you do need. So AUI Info can answer all those questions and save you a bunch of time clicking around on websites or sitting on hold and waiting for answers. So go with auiinfo.com. Again, free to you, auiinfo.com, auiinfo.com. Ravens get the Bengals in Baltimore. That's a tough one for Joe Burrow. He wasn't sacked in their win over Jacksonville, but he's still been hit too much.
Congratulations to Joe on getting his first win.
Continues to set NFL records, this time 3 300-yard games in a row. And the oddity of that is he's doing it with almost no contribution from AJ Green.
1 catch for 3 yards the other day.
He's
something like that.
He's caught only 14 of the 33 targets that he has had. He has 119 yards receiving in 4 games. Boyd and Higgins are simpatico with Joe Burrow, but what do you make of AJ Green? Does it take a veteran, a 7-time Pro Bowler? Does it take a guy like that coming back from injury? Quarterback.
I haven't watched enough of him. I'm joining them next week against the Colts. It just doesn't seem like he has the juice that he used to have. That's the burst, the explosion, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
The other great thing and great news for the Bengals was Joe Mixon is running angry.
150 yards.
And good for him. I mean, he's a good football player and a competitor. Whether, again, I'm only speaking. I don't know Joe. Obviously, had his incidents in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But all I know is this:
Obviously.
is that he's going to give you everything he has on the field, and that's what I'm looking for, and why I'm able to enjoy football again, because I'm able to separate everything else, but from the football. When I see guys run hard and play for each other, that gives me excitement about the game. So anyway,
speaking of running the ball,
yes.
Ohio State had great success doing that last year with J.K. Dobbins. He's now doing it for the Baltimore Ravens. The Bengals defense will have to worry about him. Master Teague tore his Achilles in the one spring practice they did have.
That's a bummer.
He's back, which I find amazing.
Well, that used to be a big, long injury. I mean, I know that was a
career ender.
And a year to recover.
Yeah.
So good for Master. I'm glad he's back.
But they also have Trey Sermon from Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
He had 2,000 rushing yards at Oklahoma and 36 rushing touchdowns, one of which came against Ohio State in Oklahoma's win here in the infamous Baker Mayfield flag plant game. Trey Sermon, they didn't want him at Oklahoma. He's got to think he's got a new lease on life since Oklahoma's already lost twice.
Yeah.
They're out of the national championship picture. And Trey Sermon is here, and he's a great receiver, 6'1", 215. I think I'd put my money on him as their back, because you have sort of this strange roller coaster relationship with Master Teague, where you and I were pushing the Master Teague agenda last year, how much we loved Master Teague. I remember this. We have a special podcast about Master Teague. And then you were like, well, he's not the guy.
He's not.
You like him as a change of pace guy.
Yes. I like him as
him as a side dish, not a main course.
Mes.
Okay.
Is that okay? Am I allowed to?
Sure. I think he looks, yes. I respect. When you say that, I think, well, what am I missing? Because he looks to me like he looks like a Tim Spencer type back.
Yeah.
He looks like he's not Eddie George, but he's a version of Eddie George. He's a big physical back. Keith Byers, I like big physical tailbacks, and Master Teague to me is that. But
he is.
And I'm not saying he's any of those guys. I'm just saying that's his style.
Right.
And you seem to see something lacking there.
I need to see a little bit more shake, whatever that shake is.
Okay.
That's just what I need to see.
Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa.
And
Bob,
a lot of
time,
time, you know what? It's like personal taste.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like personal taste in quarterbacks. I like quarterbacks that can run.
You like Kyler Murray.
I like Kyler Murray. I like I tell you who I like, and he's getting a bad rap, but if he gets on a good team, he'd be a really good player, Sam Darnold.
I was going to ask you. Now, he has no shake at all.
Oh, yes, he does.
He does?
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, you think he can move? Okay. All right, great.
So
I wanted him out of college.
Just do something here, just real quick. And
I don't want to mess up my recording device here.
Okay,
well, I'm not an
you used to
type.
when you cared about the podcast and weren't preoccupied with your own personal stuff.
What do you want me to call up?
I want Sam Darnold's 46-yard touchdown run last week against the
Well, I didn't see
Denver
that.
Broncos on Thursday night.
I didn't see that. So Thursday night football is dead to me. So
well, I mean, okay, I know.
I'm sorry, it's your world. It's not
no,
my world.
it's not. It's your world.
Sam Darnold explains 46 yards.
Well, I want you to watch it.
Touchdown run. All right. Well, I assume
does that have
he broke 2 tackles. Yep.
Now tell me if he can't move.
All right. Well, that was not
No, you
Vic
said
Fangio in the secondary as
see,
well. He's
now
been
we're
trying
playing
to
the video.
piece this
I'm playing
defense
the
together
audio.
as best he can.
A blitz. Darnold is able to stay upright.
Woo!
Wow, what a play by Darnold. Wanted to go down, still going. Inside
he can't
the 10
run.
for the touchdown.
Get rid of him. Stun him.
Stand corrected. I stand corrected. All right, that's nice. I remember him now at USC. He did throw on the run and all that kind of stuff. So
You loved him at USC.
I did love him at USC. I wanted him in Cleveland.
Yeah, yes, you did.
Did I make a mistake? Remember back when the Browns had the number 1 pick and it was Darnold, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Lamar Jackson was in that draft.
Carson Wentz.
Wasn't there one?
Carson Wentz
No,
was
he
your
wasn't.
guy.
No, he wasn't in that draft. He was the year before.
All right, Carson Wentz was your guy, though.
I wanted Carson Wentz out of North Dakota State.
Yes, you did.
Although Hugh Jackson would have done everything to ruin him. Kevin Stefanski, by the way, has won as many games in 4 tries as Hugh Jackson did in
All right.
however
Let
many.
it go. Let it go. It's
Hey,
over.
Hugh Jackson's here, baby. Yeah, thankfully not anymore.
Do you confess? That's from Braveheart
Yes.
when he was getting tortured. Yes, at the end. Do you confess?
Tell me.
It will all go away, your pain of the Browns.
There were all these rumors that, John Dorsey loves Josh Allen. Is Josh Allen the best of that lot? He's undefeated.
He's doing better than I thought he would.
He
So
is.
I was wrong on him. I'm terrible at quarterbacks, but just goes to show not everybody's great at quarterbacks because guys, they just miss.
Yeah.
You just miss.
A lot of guys taking high
I like
misses.
Dak Prescott. I think he's a good player.
You were right on that. I liked Russell Wilson. I did get that one right.
Yes, we both liked Russell
Yes,
Wilson. I liked him
absolutely.
because I got to see him at North Carolina State. And Susan, I saw him at North Carolina State, and I talked to him. There was something to tell me.
He's
this
got
guy,
charisma, man.
There's something
He's got
about
it.
this guy,
Yes,
right?
He
So,
absolutely does.
I was wrong on Josh Allen. I was wrong on Sam Bradford to an extent. Now, I loved Sam Bradford coming out of Oklahoma. I don't know if you remember that.
I do. You love Sam Bradford, yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I bet probably 40% on quarterbacks.
That's really not that.
50%,
That's really not
which
that
is-
much lower than
which is
scouts.
normal. But it just goes to show you the difficulty of playing that position. It's just, and I just have so much respect for these guys because I was at a practice and I actually was standing in the end zone where a coach actually let me stand behind, and I was looking at what the quarterback sees, and he sees nothing. So everything, he can see it, but it's happened so fast with big guys running in your face, guys falling all over you. You have to see coverages that change when the ball is snapped. Remember I talked about maybe Baker might have a hard time seeing how a coverage changes. You have to be able to read that, and it happens so fast. And where they throw the ball, I mean, you think about it, they get rid of the ball in 2 to 3 seconds, Bruce.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
They do.
And they digest so much information. They're like a computer. They digest so much information so quickly and make a decision. It's just a position that needs to be respected. And it is by far and away the most difficult position to play in all of sports. I think you would agree with that.
I
right?
would. I'll never forget Craig Krenzel telling the story, which I've told before. For those who haven't heard it, Krenzel was a rookie with the Bears, and he went to camp, and he's standing back watching Rex Grossman.
Yeah.
And Craig's just watching the play, and all of a sudden Grossman throws the ball, and Craig's like, where's he throwing that?
I knew this guy coming,
and
right?
David Terrell out of nowhere, boom, catch it. And Craig's like, I can't do that. I can't do that. That was not the Ohio State system. It was to throw to guys who are open, not to throw guys open.
Yeah.
And he adapted to that eventually because he's a smart guy and a talented guy. But, that's just the difficulty of playing quarterback in the NFL.
Unbelievable.
Willis Spangler Starling is your attorney firm of choice. They have specialists in all the big categories and across the broad spectrum of the law: workers' compensation, personal injury, wills, estate planning, many, many other specialties. Willis Spangler Starling's offices are located on Truman Boulevard in Hilliard. You don't want to have to go find an attorney when you need an attorney. You already want to have a relationship with an attorney, or at least know who you're going to call. So I'm telling you, that firm is Willis Spangler Starling. Follow their website, willisattorneys.com, for helpful hints on blogs. It's best to know your legal rights or have some parameters on them beforehand, and they will educate you with their blog. Go to their site, willisattorneys.com, and bookmark the site so that if and when you need an attorney for a contract or anything, which I just use Willis Spangler Starling for my contract at 98.9. They did a great job for me. Very happy. Had a personal experience, and I can certainly vouch for them even more than I could before. willisattorneys.com, willisattorneys.com. NFL.com. Okay, so you're not great at quarterbacks, but you're really good at linebackers. And I remember 2 years ago when people were crushing Pete Werner, you said, oh, no, he's a really good player. He's going to be an NFL player.
Mhm.
He had a really good year last year. The coaches think so much of him that they are moving him from – he played the weak side last year. He's going to play the strong side this year. They hope to be able to that way get more out of Baron Browning, move Baron Browning around. So the difference is Pete Werner more in the box this year, not as much coverage play.
It's hard to play out where he's played out. And, you define success by not necessarily how many balls a guy catches, but how many yards after catch a guy makes. Look, my observation of Pete Werner and my grading of Pete Werner and my what I felt about him is I saw him do a lot of things that was very difficult to play. Okay, so they asked him to do a lot of slot coverage, which, you're out there against little guys. And he did a good job, not a great job, but a good job, and enough to say, wow, this guy's athletic enough that, there's guys in the NFL that can't do what he's doing. And Pete Warner's going to get a shot in the NFL. And because of his ability, I think the move is for Browning to use what he does best. So a sign of a good coach is to put him in a position where you think he can best excel, and knowing that, look, we can put Pete at that position. We can put Pete at Mike linebacker, which is the middle linebacker, or we can put Pete at strong side linebacker. And that's, I think, for coaches, one way they assure that they get their best 11 on the field. So that's the move, because you can play Pete Werner anywhere on the field as far as linebackers go. And so where is Baron Browning best? Well, let's find what he does best, and where he's most comfortable. So we know he's one of our best 11. We just got to put him where he can excel and help our team. And he would be better in that position as opposed to playing the strong side position.
Browning had, maybe it was just a one-game aberration, I don't know, but he was their lowest rated defender in the Fiesta Bowl last year. Clemson had success with Etienne on screens and Trevor Lawrence running the ball. I don't know. That certainly doesn't fall just on Baron Browning. But I think some of their desire to get him to a new position is they want to have the freedom to use him as a pass rusher, because when you lose not just Chase Young, but that's a lot, but Robert Landers and Devon Hamilton, you got a lot of sacks and a lot of pressure to try to replace. And their hope is that Baron Browning can exert some of that pressure as they move him around and take advantage of his speed.
And there's the great thing about every Ohio State football season is it's just like we know somebody's coming that's going to be great, and we just don't know their name yet. Right?
Yeah, right.
Doesn't that happen every year?
It does, every year,
which is the beauty of it.
Which this year I don't know. If I had to pick a horse in a race, I suppose I'd pick one of the freshman wide receivers. But there's ample room out there, and maybe it'll be somebody in the secondary. We know about Sean Wade. We don't really know a lot about the other guys because they're all going to be new. Damon Arnett on IR. That's too bad for the Raiders corner. He was having a very, very good year. Our friends at Hemisphere Coffee Roasters continue to extend a 15% discount to you, Mr. Spielman. How's the Hunter's Blend and
it's good.
House blend
it's
supply?
It's peace right now.
Peace. Your wife was a little under the weather for a while, so maybe did that take some of the starch out of the coffee wars?
No, she still battles. Okay. Doesn't matter if she's under the weather. She just battles.
Still territorial with the
K-cups. Yes,
right,
she is.
Good.
She's the one thing I do is because give.
Yeah.
I make sure that the pods in the coffee maker, there's water in it, and her cups. All she has to do is press the button. I mean, it's not like I'm working for a living or anything and providing everything, but hey,
just watching games. That's what people used to say to me. I'm a sports writer. Oh, so is that all you do? Watch games? Yeah, that's it, buddy. I sit and watch games and eat hot dogs.
So my sister-in-law just retired from a big firm and took an early retirement, and we went out last night and had a little. Just my wife, her sister, her husband, and me. And we just went out last night and we're talking, and I'm just looking at her, and she's all smiles, and I go, yeah, man. And I said this with all seriousness. I can't wait to retire.
Mm-hmm.
And my brother-in-law looks at me, dude, retire from what?
Yeah.
What do you
Stay
do?
at the Ritz-Carlton and watch NFL games.
Don't hate, Bruce.
I don't hate.
Don't hate. You're your own talk show. All I do is make kings,
happy.
man.
I just can't fathom retirement, man.
I'm a
I just can't
kingmaker.
even fathom that.
Did I get a finder's fee from 98.9? The answer?
I don't know. Once the boss gets back in town, I'll ask. Hemisphere Coffee, they've helped you guys find
great.
some really good coffee, and they're very happy with the Spielman and Hooley podcast response. So you're going to get great coffee. They do great things by helping growers around the world. It's a win-win for everyone. I had a conversation with Paul yesterday, and he was talking about this grew out of his career as a missionary.
Yep.
And he said, when you're a missionary and you go into impoverished areas, there's just so many needs, and you just can't meet every need. And he found that he calls it BAM, business and ministry.
I love it.
By doing business with growers in those communities, then he just put it in very understandable terms. He said, when we buy coffee from the grower, then, for instance, the grower will have money that he can buy milk. And then the guy who sells milk will have money that he can buy food.
Yeah,
and the food so they found
effect.
that the best way to do that is, to plug into the local economy. And the win for everyone here is you get great coffee that you wouldn't get from, the store.
It's really good. I have not run across anybody that has not found.
I haven't either. People would email us and tell us they're repeat customers. And so the coffee stands on its own merits.
Hemisphere, I have one thing to say to you. You're welcome.
There you go. Hemisphere Coffee Roasters. They will help Mr. Spielman pay for garage door damages here at the Hooley household. We'll take his share of that profit. So order online and get 15% off. Use the promo code We Tackle Life when you order from HemisphereCoffeeRoasters.com.
I'm going to transition into the faith.
Yes, please do.
If you guys are out there on Facebook or can they tweet this show too?
They can tweet the show or they can comment on Facebook. Yeah.
All right. I got to explain my going to church experience. Did I explain the one about, are you even trying, Father? What are we doing back
the
there?
guy, the priest was, what was he?
His
phone went off during your confession.
And I asked, okay, so any of my Catholic brethren out there, I've got to see if this counts. So when I get there, I look for a church to go to on Saturday night because, one of the things I enjoy about Catholicism is the discipline of it and the accountability. There's an accountability of, you don't miss Mass. There's no excuse to miss it because there's a church everywhere you go. All right. So I find a church 1.5 miles away, 5:00 service. I leave at 4:15. I'm going to get there early. I get there and the church says, there's a guy at the door. I said, is there a 5:00 Mass? He goes, yes. Okay. I go to walk in. But it's a confirmation Mass, just only for families. We're only allowed 70 people in here. And I was like, oh, man. He goes, but there is a cathedral, St. Patrick's Cathedral in Charlotte. It's about 2 miles away. And they start at 5:30. And I got to be back at the hotel by 6:30. And it's right now, it's probably 4:40.
Okay.
So I walk 2 miles, but I end up walking 5 miles because I plugged it in my phone. And I took me on the car directions. If you've been to Charlotte, it's like there's that 77 runs right through town, and there's different roads. So I have to cross the freeway, and I end up finally getting there, and it's like 5:40, so I'm late.
Okay,
and I have to be back at the hotel, and I know I got another 3-mile walk back to the hotel.
I do have Ubers in.
I know, but
Charlotte.
The point is. I'm walking. I would have took.
Does this count on the 6,000 mile?
Yes,
challenge?
It does. Because I'm going to go back to it. But I didn't. I would have taken an Uber, but I wasn't going to take an Uber because I started this quest, and I'm going to finish the quest. That's just me.
That's the code.
It's a code, but it's a sickness.
Yeah, I'm not denying that.
Yes, because I'm saying to myself, "Hey, idiot. Call an Uber." Then it's like the two devils or angel on your shoulder, and the one said, "No, you started this walk, and you're walking for God, and you're going to church." And So anyway, I get there and it's late. I said, I'm not going to go in and disrupt the mass. I'm just not going to do it. That's just not my thing, right? So I go, and it's already 10 minutes in. So I go outside the church. I find a statue of whatever saint, probably St. Patrick or whatever, and I sit there, say a prayer, and do the things that I do, and started my journey back. And I want to know, does that count as going to church?
We'll see if anyone
what for you? What for? Does that count for you as going to church? I tried to go to
yes,
true churches.
I would say it was a spiritual mindset. You were doing your very best to adhere to a spiritual discipline, which, as often happens, is what I wanted to talk about today. So, yes, I would say that does count because you were striving. I would certainly count that as seeking. We've talked about the difference between looking and seeking.
Okay, good.
You were seeking a blessing.
All right, well, that's
first,
good.
before I add my thoughts to that, I thought this was hilarious. Nick notes that it is a bigger coffee company in Hemisphere when you are the spokesman. That's funny. And another Nick, my buddy Nick Serrano, says the podcast is awesome today. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Dueling Nicks. Yeah, I think that counts. I think it's a determination to be spiritually disciplined. And that's interesting that you bring that up today because I had the privilege, and I do mean privilege, this week, the last 2 days of interacting with some students from Cedarville College, journalism students. I'm very honored that Professor Gilbert from Cedarville asked me to be part of a panel, an advisory panel for their digital arts program, which includes journalism, which includes media, broadcasting, video production, and all that kind of stuff. I have some expertise in some of what they do there and no expertise in some of what they do. So they had a very well-rounded panel, and it was awesome to be part of it and to talk to students and answer students' questions. And since Cedarville is a Christian university, one of the questions, which I thought was outstanding, was how do we maintain our faith and plug into and be a part of a culture that is sometimes indifferent to our faith, sometimes hostile to our faith. And, when you get a question like that, I would love to have had some big revelatory new way for this person to stay faithful and to make an impact in their world. But much like cliches become cliches because they're true statements.
Yeah.
There are just some things that work because they're tried and true. And it's not a fresh idea to say, read your Bible every day, pray, journal, spend quiet time with God, connect with God. But much like you going to mass, much like me going to church, it's a spiritual discipline.
Yes.
And it's worked over time. And so when people ask the question, how do I stay faithful? I don't have a new revelation for you. I can just tell you that in every business, in every endeavor in life, there are things that have been done and are typical of successful companies for decades. Why? Because they work, and you borrow from successful people to be successful yourself. In much the same way, people who are making an impact for the kingdom of God are people who make an effort every day to be disciplined, just like you would in your diet, in your exercise regimen, in your relationship with your spouse, your kids. You have to spend time with them. You have to connect with them. You have to invest in them. And that's the same way with God. I have never spent a season of my life truly seeking God, and had God say, sorry, man, you made me wait too long. I'm not interested in connecting with you. I mean, the discipline is a word that we kind of recoil from because it doesn't sound discipline. Like, yeah, give me more discipline. But spiritual disciplines, good habits, practices, regimens, they work. They work.
Reminders.
And, a friend of mine yesterday shared a quote with me that I want to share with you. And this is from a new book, but it is true in spirituality. It is true in business. The book's name is Atomic Habits. Okay. Atomic Habits, which I love that name because atomic is an energy word. It's an action word. It's an explosive word. And that's what habits can be, good or bad. They can be explosive. The quote from the book is, every action you take is a vote toward the type of person you're trying to become. Every action you take is a vote toward the type of person you're trying to become. So if you're doing and exercising spiritual disciplines, reading scripture, journaling, praying, that's a vote toward the type of person you want to become. You want to become closer to God. You want to have God impress upon you the things that you need to do as a disciple of Christ to enlarge his kingdom and bring comfort, enlightenment, all those things to the people that you encounter. So, but if you, by contrast, exercise, selfish habits, lazy habits spiritually, you'll stray from God and you won't make the impact that you wanted to make.
The discipline part of it is key. Okay. I've seen it in my life. When I'm disciplined, there's more peace.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you feel like you're not connected spiritually, you still have to be determined to exercise the discipline of praying and going to church, even though sometimes it's okay that you feel like you're beating your head up against the wall. And that, I can't tell you how many times I've had this conversation. Are you even listening? Are you even
absolutely?
You're not listening?
Yeah. Where are you? I'm trying to connect.
What is this personal relationship we're supposed to have? And it's there. And I just want to encourage everybody to study that course and that discipline. Stay with the Bible study, even though if you don't feel like it. The thing that we try to, and I think you do this with your family. I try to do this with my family, and I say this quite a bit, but I think it's vital. I think it's one of the many keys in life to seeking some type of peace and some happiness, and encourage it, is to find that balance of mental, physical, and spiritual. And it's hard to do it every day, to be disciplined, to do it every single day, but it certainly can be done. And if you're going to put those in order, balance spiritually is at the top of that list.
No doubt.
No doubt about it.
And that's one of the reasons I'm so excited about this new job, is because it allows me to get into a routine.
Yeah.
When you don't have just sitting around, I mean, I had my spiritual routine in the morning, but then my other routines were not disciplined. And now I have a routine, and God is a God of systems. He designed our bodies with nervous system, digestive system, all this. God is a God of order, and it's good to have order and discipline and systems in your life, and habits and routines, and make sure that they're good routines, and it will take you to a good place. So.
Thank you for punching down and doing a lowly podcast with your former radio partner.
Somebody yesterday said I'm cheating on you by getting
yes,
a radio job.
You are.
They all want to know.
But that's okay.
Podcast will continue. The podcast will continue.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
What? At least until the garage is paid off.
At least you better believe it. At least until that garage door is paid off. Thank you to everybody for listening. Friday, we give away $250 to 4 people in COVID-19 relief. Get your nominations in. We appreciate that. Spielman Hooley podcast at gmail.com. Spielman Hooley podcast at gmail.com. And patronize our sponsors and let them know you heard about it on the podcast. Everybody have a great day. I'll talk to you this afternoon, 98.9 The Answer at 5 p.m. Looking forward to that. Please interact, and we'll talk to you soon.